Now, what David said was overheard and was reported to Saul, and Saul sent for him. David said to Saul, "Let no one lose heart on account of this Philistine. Your servant will go and fight him." But Saul replied, You cannot go out and fight this Philistine. You're only a boy. And he's been a fighting man from his youth. But David said, "Your servant has been keeping his father's sheep. When a lion or a bear has come and carried off a sheep from the flock, I have pursued it and struck it and rescued the sheep from its mouth. And when it turned on me, I have seized it by its hair and struck it and killed it. Your servant has killed both the lion and the bear. And this uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them, for he has defied the armies of the living God." The same God who delivered me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will deliver me from the hand of this uncircumcised Philistine. Saul said, "Go, and the Lord be with you." Saul then dressed David in his own tunic and put a coat of armor on him and a bronze helmet on his head. And David fastened on his sword around the tunic and tried walking around because he was not used to them. And David said to Saul, "I cannot go in these. I'm not used to them." So he took them off. And he took up his staff, and he chose 5 small stones from the stream, and he put them in his shepherd's pouch. And with his sling in his hand, he advanced on Goliath. Meanwhile, Goliath, with his shield bearer in front of him, kept coming closer to David. And he looked David over, and when he saw that he was just a boy, ruddy and handsome, he despised him. He shouted, "Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks?" And he cursed David by his gods and said, "Come here, and I'll give your flesh to the birds of the air and the beasts of the field." David said, "You come at me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come at you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. And this day God will give you into my hand, and I will strike you down and cut off your head. And I will give the carcasses of the Philistine army to the birds of the air and the beasts of the earth. And all the world will know that there is a God in Israel. And everyone here will learn that it is not by sword and spear that the Lord saves. For the battle is the Lord's, and he will give all of you into our hands." Then Goliath advanced on him to attack him, and David ran to meet him, and taking a stone from his pouch, he slung it and struck the giant in the forehead. And the stone sank into his forehead, and he fell face down on the ground. So, David has overcome the giant with stone and sling. Without a sword, he has struck him down and killed him. He ran and stood over him and took hold of the Philistine's sword and drew it from its scabbard and cut off his head. And when the Philistines saw that their hero was dead, they turned and ran.